Welcome to the Power of Your Mind podcast. I'm Victoria Gallagher, your host. Have you been attempting to use law of attraction or hypnosis to attract financial abundance, a soulmate, or career success? Would you like to be happy, motivated, and successful? Have better health, enjoy more fulfilling relationships, overcome struggle, and gain mastery over your life? Then join me on this amazing self-help podcast where you'll unleash the power of your mind. I'll be sharing 20 years of wisdom and techniques of hypnotherapy, law of attraction, visualization, meditation, personal growth, positive affirmations, and other effective methods to help you tap into the great power which resides in your mind and become the best version of yourself. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode 16 for the week of June 12th, 2018. Now be sure to go to my website, hyptalk.com, that's hyptalk.com, and let me know how you are liking this new format. And while you're there, be sure to use the discount code podcast and get 35% off for being a first-time customer. Now today, I have the privilege of having with me a very special guest, Rex Stephen Sikes. Rex Stephen Sikes has 4 decades of experience helping thousands of people transform their minds and their lives. His innovations include mind design and directed questions. He is a master trainer of NLP and DHE, whole brain and accelerated learning, the law of attraction, and is founder of Idea Seminars. He conducts online programs on transformation, mind design, LOA, neurolinguistic programming, and at public events. Sikes is a professional speaker, life and business mentor, consultant, and an educator. He is also an actor and filmmaker and consultant to the entertainment industry. In addition to his blogs, Daily Inspiration and Gratitude.com, Rex is an author, the creator of The Attitude Activator, and featured on Learning Strategies Euphoria program. Rex presents seminars, public and corporate programs, full workshops and training events. He mentors professionals and newcomers in their fields. He is a keynote speaker on the power of your mind to get to your goals, increase your bottom line, and make your dreams come true. His captivating message inspires audiences and will remain with you. He has appeared before millions, acting in films, television, radio interviews, and commentary. His topics include making your dreams come true, one of my favorite topics, conditioning and nutrition for the mind, why affirmations don't work, and how to get them to work, creativity and intuition, making a great impression, creating rapport, and how to understand and utilize body language. So today, Rex is going to share with us all why affirmations don't work. So welcome to the show, Rex.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am honored, and it is a privilege to be with you today and to be with your listeners now and whenever they listen in the future. And for all those times they go back and listen again and again, because that's truly how you can learn and make things your own. Thank you for having me.
I totally agree with that. Thank you. I'm really honored to have you on the show. I had some knowledge of you in the past, so it's going to be really cool to get to know you a little bit more and, really get an understanding of your process with people and this whole idea that we're talking about today about why affirmations don't work. I mean, so many people out there, there's been so many books written on this topic. So many people teach about affirmations and why they do work. So it'll be a really interesting topic to to really get your perspective on this, and maybe, you had mentioned how we can get them to work. So let's just like dive into that and talk about what it is that how you came up with this idea, what happened that inspired you to want to talk about why affirmations don't work.
Oh, absolutely. And let me just say, you do a fabulous job and have a fabulous show. And so I'm excited again to be here to offer this to your listeners. Why affirmations don't work is a wonderful question, because some people say, well, wait a second, I've used affirmations and they do work. And someone else will say, I've used affirmations and they absolutely do not work. And so I'm addressing why they don't work for those people who don't seem to be able to make them work. But not only that, and not only for them, but there are ways to make them work easier, better, more efficiently. And there are ways to kind of bypass them. I want to dispel a notion right off the bat that a lot of people will disagree with me on. But here's the thing, thoughts are things. And what we focus on is what we end up creating. So, we've heard the analogy, there were no chairs until someone thought of them, and then they had to conceive it, and they had to then put that idea of a chair into practical reality. They first made it, whether they fashioned it out of stone or whether they used a tree stump in the jungle or whatever, or whether they carved it out of wood or however. The thought first preceded the reality of this thing called chair. So we know that we manifest things, we create things from our thoughts. Now, the interesting thing about that is that our conscious mind is a tiny little bit of our entire being, and our subconscious, unconscious, otherly conscious, non-conscious, whatever you want to call it, parent conscious, is all the rest. And that is this huge, it's like the difference between a vast ocean liner and its engines and its storage capacity and its power and the rudder that runs it, or that steers the ship. The rudder, the conscious mind is a tiny little thing that's good for certain things, and the subconscious, unconscious mind is great for other things. So, that we don't have to beat our hearts, and we don't have to digest our food consciously. We don't have to eliminate the toxins and the waste from our bodies consciously. Our unconscious mind takes care of us. It protects us. It releases the right chemicals at the right time when we have fears, especially when we were back in the jungle days, and a tiger came up on us. It released adrenaline and different things so we could run and move and get away. It restricted our vision, and at first we scan, and then it focuses us so we're not distracted, so that we can escape. And today in the modern world, we live in boxes, and we travel in boxes, and we go from one box to another box, and we live under artificial light, and most of all of it is non-threatening. Certainly there are threats in the world, but most of it's an emotional threat. Somebody says something we don't like, they hurt our feelings. Somebody flips us off on the highway, and we have the same response. I'm sorry, my dog is sitting. I'm outside because it's a hot, humid day. She's inside wanting to get out.
That's okay. We had dogs on the last show, and we have cats occasionally. So,
well, if she barks too much, I'll have to either invite her out, then she'll want to go back in, or I will move her. But she's a wonderful, it's the most amazing creature. And apart from my children in my life, I love this animal. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. Anyway, the point is that we have, I don't know if you heard that, but we have, she's like, why? Why am I inside? Anyway, so we have this ability, we have an ability to respond to perceived threats, as if they're real, and the brain doesn't differentiate.
Right.
The body responds and reacts, as if a life-threatening threat is there. And so all these chemicals, that's a complete unconscious process. It's a reaction to a stimulus either outside or even a thought inside our head, because the subconscious mind can't tell the difference between a real life event and one that's created on the inside.
Right. I mean, that's why our
So,
palms get sweaty, when we go watch a movie, a scary movie, or, we flinch or we, like none of that's actually
ex-
real.
absolutely, exactly, or why we salivate when we think of a lemon or eating some succulent fruit or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, or when we see another person, our eyes, that we're attracted to, our pupils dilate to take, or the beauty of nature, our eyes dilate to take in more of that picture. We don't control any of that. That's all an unconscious process. Now, here's the point that I said people disagree with. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. The brain does what the brain does, and it does it to keep the person alive. It learns how to do these things. It creates neural pathways through growing up in experiences and being exposed and being conditioned. Frankly, what it does is it creates mental habits, and it responds from those habits. And those habits can be triggered, and frequently are. They're not designed to sabotage anything. They're designed to keep you alive, to keep you working, to keep you doing exactly what you want.
So
Now,
it's
here's where
self-protection. It's really
well, it's
self-protection.
yes, it's protection, it's survival, but it's your friend, not your enemy. And what happened in traditional psychology is it's come to be thought of as an enemy, like there's some deep shadow side to you that is harboring all these things. Yes, it's true. People have limiting beliefs, and they have obstacles, and they have issues. They've got experiences that they look back on, and regret or feel bad or they grieve, and all of that stuff is all of those things can be let go of, released, and eliminated. And if not eliminated, they can be overwritten. In the same way, when you move from one residence to a new residence, sometimes you find yourself driving to the old residence because that's habit.
Hmm.
You go to the old place first, and then pretty soon you learn how to go to the new place, and then you don't think about going to the old place as much. But you know where it is. You could if you want to. It's not erased from your memory. You just find yourself going to new behavior because you've written in a new habit. So my point is that the mind isn't your enemy. The problem is people just don't know how to make it work for them. It's doing what it's doing, and then the conscious mind, the little rudder of the boat or ship, has a different intention, and it's trying to steer this big, huge, powerful ocean liner, and the inertia that it has to overcome seems immense, and so they call it sabotage. But it
Right.
isn't sabotage. It's doing. You think of the term of your thermostat in your house. You set it at 70 degrees. If it gets too hot, it lowers the temperature to get back to 70. If it gets too cool, it raises the temperature to get to 70. It's not sabotaging your household. It's
Right.
working the way it's designed to work. It's working. And so people, their comfort zone is at a certain amount of money or a certain degree of confidence or a certain sense of health or well-being, at this set point. And now they want to get out of that comfort zone. They want to stretch out of it. Well, the brain goes to take you back to what it knows. It goes back to that set point of 70. That's not sabotage. That's just doing what it knows to do. So you need to learn how to change your set points so that you can get more. If in other words, if you want it to be warmer, you need to change your set point to 75. If your income is 30,000 a year and you want it to be 100,000 a year, you have to change that set point. And the problem with most people is that one, they set up a contentious relationship in themselves, with themselves, and or with others. Two, throughout the day, instead of affirming all the good and wonderful, positive, glorious, inspiring, and motivational things that are happening, they talk about, the jerk in the coffee shop, the a-hole on the freeway, the boss who didn't do something, or the employee who was late. They recapitulate bad news or politics or the government or the banking or the weather or all day long. These are narratives that people live from, and it preoccupies them 90% of the time, and it's unconscious. It's habit.
Right.
It's habit, they're not trying to do it. It's a habit. They've learned it. It's conditioned. So if you want to make changes to your life, you have to change what you're doing. Because if you do the same thing over and over again, you keep getting the same results. And of course, the definition of insanity is to do the same things repeatedly, but expect different results. And that's what a lot of people do. So they come to affirmations and go, all right, I'm going to do this. And they repeat some affirmations and then go, oh, screw it. It doesn't work. Because why? Because their set point is such that they haven't addressed the set point. And two, they keep affirming. See, you can affirm negative things. You can say, I am stupid, I am worthless, I am a jerk, I am that. Or you can say, I'm wonderful, I am confident, I am powerful, I can do anything.
If you find value in this personal growth related material, I strongly recommend that you sign up for your $1 trial to my Personal Growth Club. Just head on over to personalgrowthclub.com and get a whole month of premium Personal Growth Club video training materials, meditations. You also get 6 free hypnosis sessions that are valued at over $174, all for this trial of just $1. Even if you cancel, you can keep the 6 hypnosis sessions. That's my gift to you, and that's how confident I am that you are going to love Personal Growth Club. Go to personalgrowthclub.com and start your $1 1-month trial today.
But people tend to affirm problems and limitations and blocks and obstacles, and that the world's a cruel place, and that only the rich people have money, and the poor never get ahead, and that it's a struggle, and it's hard if you don't work, if you don't have the right education. So they've got this entire history, this entire ocean, this ship, this vessel, this unconscious, loaded with this stuff. And then they go, okay, I'm gonna try and change it. And they say some affirmations, and they say it once or twice, and they repeat them, and they don't work.
Well, it's kind of like referring back to your analogy about the thermostat. So right. You've got your thermostat set at 78 degrees. So on the one hand, the complaining, it's like you're going around the house, basically saying, oh my God, it's so hot, it's so hot, it's so hot, it's so hot, it's so hot. But you haven't done anything about changing the actual set point on the thermostat. Or on the other hand, the affirmations, trying to, go around fanning yourself and fanning yourself and fanning yourself. That's just using your conscious willpower. And eventually you're going to give up and just cave into what it's actually set to.
Precisely. Well, very well put. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what happens is people affirm what they don't want and what they prefer to eliminate, and they keep perpetuating it over and over and over again because that's what they've learned to do. That's what their unconscious habits are, and they're all good. They're all there to keep you alive. They're not there to make you awful. They're there to make you wonderful. It's like if I train my dog to go potty outside, not in the house, I'm thrilled when she goes potty outside. She's doing what she was trained to do. So this is the thing, and people think somehow that they're bad or they're not good or that there's something wrong or their subconscious is evil or nasty, and it's not. It's the friend, and you got to befriend it first off, and secondly, you got to learn how and what it responds to. You said you say I'm hot, which is affirming something and not changing it. You say the thermostat set for 72 degrees, and you can sit there going 67 to 67 to 67, and it's not going to change it either.
Right. You can say that all day long. Still.
Right. Exactly. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people think I'm going to affirm to be wealthy. That's not bad. I can affirm. I can live an abundant life. I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am rich. That's fine. Go for that. What you can't affirm is, I'm 60 feet tall. Napoleon Hill said it best. He said, if you can conceive it and you can believe it, you can achieve it within reason. And when I first read that, I was 11 years old. When I first read that, I thought, oh yeah, there's the caveat. See, it's going to be within reason. That means some people will get it, some people don't. What I learned later was what he meant was, if you're 67 years old and you think you're going to be an 18-year-old gymnast and win a gold medal, you can affirm that all day long. It's not going to change the fact that you're an older person wishing to be a younger person at an Olympics. You see what I'm saying? I mean, you can say, I wish to create. I want to be able to fly without wings. And for those people who do that, I say, well, then start at the ground and try and fly up. Don't start at a high place and try and fly out. Because gravity will prove that other way. Now,
right. Well, and the key word that you said there too is conceive and believe. You can't believe that anyway. Not at the real level, not at the unconscious level. You have to get your whole brain to believe that, not just, believing it on a superficial level. You have to believe it with all your heart.
And I will leave this opening there for what you just said, because it's beautiful. If you could believe it 100%, like I could walk through walls 100% unconsciously, maybe you could. I'm not going to say you can't, but what I'm saying is it a wise use of your time to spend all of your time affirming I can walk through walls, when most likely you're never, ever going to do that? You have to have some wisdom. You have to have some sense of good taste. You know what I mean? Yeah, you have to pick the things that you can do and accomplish those. It's like a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and then you have to keep taking steps. People didn't think you could conquer Everest, but you could if you did it step by step. And some people lost their lives doing it. Mm-hmm. So it's not a given that you will conquer Everest, but it's a given that you can attempt to conquer Everest. And if you do the right things and have the right, all the right things in order, you can conquer Everest, or you may be able to conquer Everest. But I'm trying to make everything practical, because a lot of people think, well, other people say, well, if affirmations work, then I should be able to fly, or I should be able to. If that saying is if God is so powerful, can God create a stone that's so big God can't pick it up? And that kind of mental loop that I mean, it's a limitation in the premise to begin with, but is what people get caught up in. And so they try things, or they try and affirm things, or they don't believe that they can do it. Well, if first off, you don't believe you can do something, for example, I might believe I can't juggle. You can tell me, and I go, nope, I can't juggle. There's no way I can juggle. But if I decided at some point I wanted to juggle, then I would have to confront this. Right. It's either impossible for me to juggle, given that I have arms and legs and I can juggle in that regard. It's either impossible for me to juggle, or I haven't yet learned how to juggle. And if I learned, and I could probably learn to juggle. Now, I may not be the world's greatest juggler, but I could probably learn to juggle.
And don't you think that the possibility that you can't do it, if you truly believe that you can, and you just haven't gotten there yet, if you truly believe you can, it's never even going to come into your awareness, okay, well, that didn't work. You're going to continue to pursue that until it does work.
Yeah, it's amazing at what stops people. For 40 years in my workshop, what is it that stops most people? And the answer, quite honestly, is a thought. A mental packet of energy stops people from doing what they want. They go, I can't do that. I'm no good at that. I will never be able to do that. She won't like me. He won't like me. It's a thought. And that thought is nothing but a mental packet of energy, but that they've conditioned themselves to believe. And if they change the thought, it might surprise them what they in fact could do. So you're right. If you believe you can, two things will happen. You'll try, which you won't otherwise if you believe you can't and won't. So you'll try. And if you try, you'll find that there are things that work and things that don't work. So it's always a process of feedback. But the more optimistic you are, the more Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly.
But he also said, I never let can't doing something prevent me from doing it. I never let my thinking go there. So the point he made was, if I decide I want to do something, I think about all the ways I can do it, and I find those ways to do it. So can't doesn't enter into it. And apparently this is true, because according to Napoleon Hill and according to history, when he said I want an 8-cylinder motor, and his scientists keep coming back to him and saying, no, it's impossible, never happened. Go, good, keep trying.
I love that story.
Keep doing it. Until one day they went, hey, guess what? We did it. And yeah, well, okay, I figured you would.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. I mean,
people
they were working on this thing for like a year, and they came back. You know what? There's no way to do it. It's like, okay, we'll continue. Just
keep going. Yeah. So if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. And then the within reason part we've already addressed. But now it's about believing it. And believing it is a certainty. It's not believing it like I believe it, but I don't think it'll happen. Like I believe it's possible, but I don't think it'll happen. It's no, I'm going to make this happen. I know for a fact I'm going to do it. The people who succeed the easiest, even through massive struggle, and I don't mean that it's an easy road for them. I mean, the ones who do it are the ones who go, you know what? Nothing ever is going to stop me. I am going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. If it's going to be, it's up to me. And I am the one who does it. Now, I work with other people. No man is an island. No woman is an island. We don't work in isolation. Our success is based on cooperation with others and trading value and all that. But they don't let the thought, they don't let people dissuade them, and they don't let circumstances upset their apple cart. And if they're throwing lemons, they make lemonade. They have a sense of certainty about what they're able to accomplish. Now, that also it comes from conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Most people aren't born that way. Some people may have been exposed to people who believe that, helped them grow up that way. But most of us all have, at least in the United States and predominantly around the world, most of us have pretty much the same kind of growing up situation. There are people who take care of us, there are peers, there's society, there's media, there's all this stuff, and we get all these messages and they bombard us all day long. So we grow up with, accepting limitations, because the word we hear more than anything else as a child is no, don't do that, watch out, be careful, you're going to get hurt, don't. So we grow up with a lot of limitations, and we learn sometimes those things are not that they're not valid in certain times, but they shouldn't be a rule, and we've generalized them to apply them for everything, and as we get older, sometimes we have a counter example experience where we go, well, I thought it was this way, and then something comes along and we change our mind about it. But otherwise, we don't know what we don't know. We don't even know what our programming is. And how you find out your programming is when you start feeling crappy and yucky.
Yes.
When somebody says, hey, let's do this, and you go, no, I don't think so. That's your programming. There's a reason. Why can't you? Who the people are that I hate?
Who?
People who imitate owls.
People who what?
Imitate owls. I'm kidding. That's actually a friend of mine's joke. I think that's Emo Phillips' joke.
Who?
Yeah, who? I'm sorry. I felt compelled to do that, but
that's okay. No, but it's easy to. It's easy to give in. It's easy to give up. It's easy to buy into those old programs. It's easy to, to just listen to what, the average, everyday, ordinary, general, negative naysayers are going to say to you. You have to, what I'm hearing you say, you have to discipline your mind. You have to train your mind. You have to condition yourself and take control of what you want, and not allow yourself to get swayed by all the the general thinking out there that this is impossible.
Well, absolutely, absolutely, and here you said that again beautifully. The difficulty is that we all are living from our programming, or from our conditioning, from our habits, 95 to 99% of the time, and we're reacting to the stimuli either outside us or inside us that is less than glorious. And so, and if we're not feeling crappy, we're feeling okay. A few people are thriving and feeling wonderful and ecstatic, and life is grand and it's abundant and they're filled with love and joy, and then the rest kind of get by. And when you look at it, you look at the media messages, they don't think about this. They don't put luxury liners. They put Disney cruises and things on but most of television isn't aimed at the high end, very, very uber rich. It's aimed at discounting everything. Like, oh, you don't have enough money, so hey, today it's on sale. So buy this discounted item. Buy this, it's cheap.
Right.
Which says, you don't have enough money, and so you probably need this, and its times are tough. I mean, we're inundated with this stuff 24/7. Some people think it's a nefarious reason for that. Other people think it's just the condition of the world. But what you had said is that we're conditioned to that, and we live from that conditioning. Now, if you want to change that, you have to change your conditioning. The same way as if you're a 98-pound weakling or a 420-pound large person and you want to be fit and healthy, you need to start conditioning yourself. You need to sleep right, you need to eat right, you need to exercise the right amount, and you need to do it routinely, correctly, regularly for long enough until you get the results that you're after.
Hello, this is Victoria Gallagher. I hope you're enjoying listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast. As a way of thanking you for listening, I'd like to offer you a one-time discount of 35% off your first order at hiptalk.com. Just go to hiptalk.com and enter the code PODCAST in the discount code area in your cart, and you'll receive 35% off your first order. Thank you so much for listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast.
That makes so much sense. So that's why, just in a nutshell, the affirmations don't work for some people, or for a lot of people, is because they're contending, they're saying these affirmations, with the weakest, smallest, most minuscule part of our minds, our conscious minds, but it's just no contender for the deep, powerful subconscious mind, which holds all of our conditioning. And so we just end up, because we don't believe what we're saying to ourselves at the deepest level, we ultimately just kind of end up giving in. And the doubt creeps in, and we just give into that doubt and say, well, whatever, it didn't work.
Right. Well, and especially in America, we have a thing of, try, if first you don't succeed, try again. We have 3 strikes and you're out. The rule of 3s. People try it once, try it twice. By the 3rd time, they're going, okay, I'm done. I mean, I tried it. And then what they do is they say, I've tried it and it doesn't work. As if it never works. It never did. And it might work for other people, but I can't get it to work.
Right. How many times did Edison try to get the light bulb to work?
Right, and the important thing about that is the statement made afterwards. It wasn't just that he tried and failed, but that he found 1,000 or 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. He succeeded with each one. It just wasn't what he was looking for. His conscious mind wanted to find this when he kept finding something else. So he said, I learned all these different ways how to not do this. I learned the things for other reasons, but it didn't. The light bulb was something else. But he kept going and he kept going. Yeah, so you're right again. So here's the thing, that conditioning can be overridden, and you can be conditioned, and you can change it. That's the good news. But you got to know how, and you got to know what you're working with. If you go to the gym and you look at all this equipment, you don't know how it works. You just look at it, go, okay, and looking at it's not going to change you. And the problem that people have with affirmations is, and I've did this for 40 years. You get up and you look in the mirror, and you say, I am my ideal weight. The mirror looks back at you and goes, like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
It laughs at you.
Right. You go, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And the mirror goes, that pig's eye. No. See,
look at all that balls, look at all that fat, look at all that cellulite, look at
yeah, because that's what you're trained to do. You're conditioned to look for what's wrong, and the reticular activating system does that. Whatever is most important to you, it will find examples. This is why we have associations in our mind. If I think of it this way, if I say dog, what comes to mind?
Cat.
Okay, so you go counter. But you go counter. So if I say a dog, what kind of dog comes up in your mind?
What kind of dog? A small dog.
Yeah, a small dog. Okay. And if I go wet dog,
a wet dog?
Does the picture change?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, your image changes. So what if I go bad dog?
Yeah. Then I see a dog with, growling and teeth, and
you make a different image. Well, so here's my point: is that your mental imagery, your brain will find things. If it looks for matches. In the real world, it looks for things that are dangerous. I mean, one of the parts of the reticular activating system is to look for those things that are wrong in the world, so that we survive. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, again, it's an automatic, thank God we have it. It's a blessing that we have it. This is what I'm trying to get at, is people fight their own processes instead of going, oh God, how lucky I am, or whole universe, or whatever. I am so blessed that my brain works perfectly well. I'm not getting the result I want, but my brain works perfectly well. I'm overweight, but my brain works perfectly well. It beats my heart. It feeds me. I have these habits and all that. And it's so, God, I am a learning machine. I am so grateful. See, if they would spend more time in gratitude and feeling blessed instead of feeling cursed or down or affirming the negative or worried about stuff that's going on in the real world and letting that inundate them, if every moment you looked for a blessing, you can say thank you for everything. I'm sitting outside. Thank you. I'm talking to you. Thank you. I'm on the phone. I got a phone. Thank you. I've got headphones. Thank you. I've got clothing on, and thank you. Well, thank them. Most people would be happy about that. But it's every second of every day is an opportunity to be grateful, and yet most people squander those moments. They live okay, mundane. They live with struggle. They live with dis-ease because they're not making important feeling marvelous. They're not making important feeling grateful and blessed. They're making important the mundane, crappy things, the guy on the freeway who gave them the finger.
Right.
And they continue to do that.
And gratitude makes us feel good. And it actually, doesn't it activate, ultimately a part of our mind to, help draw in more of the same.
Oh, absolutely. But not only that, it releases all those wonderful chemicals of well-being. And the more you feel well-being and the more you feel wonderful, the more you feel like you can do things, like you can learn things. So if you said tomorrow, let's go climb Everest, and you said, well, I'd like to, but I can't, well, then let's learn how. And if you said, I'm willing to learn how, then we begin that practice. Right. Now, you may or may not ever climb Everest, but you've got to be willing in order to do something. So you say, okay, if I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to juggle, I can learn how to juggle. I can get lessons to juggle. I can go to somebody who's a juggler. I can get a book. I know this, even with all those things, if I don't try juggling, if I don't throw the balls in the air, I'm never going to juggle. And here's the other thing is it's guaranteed if you throw balls in the air, they're going to hit the ground. You're going to drop them. You're going to miss them. You're not going to be very good at first. And people don't like that because when they were growing up, if they didn't get an A on their test, they were told they were bad. If they didn't do good in sports, they were told they were worthless. They were picked last on the team or whatever the thing is. They don't want to be in this struggling practice, get better phase. They want it to be perfect yesterday. I don't want the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want to have had the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't want to exercise. But I want to have been born that way. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So people have these fictions, these narratives that don't support them. And what I'm saying is you have to learn how to direct your mind. Now, Napoleon Hill said it best. He said, Emile Coué came out with every day and every way, I'm better and better. I'm getting better and better. And he said, some people were helped, but many weren't. And one of the reasons they aren't is because if you're just reciting words, they are meaningless.
I love how he says plain old unemotionalized words will not change anything. I love that. That's like one of my favorite quotes from the book.
Well, now I'm going to say something negative. The military knows how to take the so-and-so off the street, male or female, and turn them into a killer in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they do that?
Conditioning.
They do conditioning. Yeah, exactly. They do a lot of cadence, which is the repetition of a rhythmic chant. This is my weapon. This is a weapon. This is my weapon. This is the gun. Mm-hmm. One is for killing and one is for fun. That kind of thing. They chant these things while they run, while they're doing push-ups. In the rain, in the snow, they are given the most enormous physical tasks. They're jumping over things, running into things, being fired at. They're all in a very highly emotive state, and they're chanting and yelling and screaming these aphorisms, these affirmations, these truisms for them to condition their mind so that they become the machine that the military wants them to be, and they're successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part. They're successful at converting people from non-military to military. Now, if they can do that, you could do that in a really nice, wonderful, easy way. You could go from being broke to being rich by chanting, by using emotion, by jumping up and down, by feeling grateful, by having high vibe feelings and wonderful stuff, and putting positive emotion behind your affirmations. If you go, I'm getting better, that's different than if you're going, I'm getting better. And yelling and jumping and screaming and dancing and singing and skipping.
You have to turn into a little bit. You have to get a little crazy.
Yeah, exactly. What was it, Prince's song? Let's Get Crazy.
Yeah,
yeah.
Tony Robbins, a perfect example. I mean, do you think he's, gets in there and just says, okay, now just all you have to say is, I am getting wealthier and wealthier. No, he
Right,
gets people up on their feet, they're dancing, they're highly emotive, they're excited, they're happy, they're in an elated state.
right,
And
right.
so I
And
want
if
to
you,
kind of
if
make a little bit of a
go
segue
ahead,
because
sure.
you had talked about mind design,
Uh huh.
and so I wonder if what we're moving into here does what we're talking about, does that kind of have to do with your process of mind design? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you asked. My design is my synthesis, my vision, my creation for having transformed myself when I was about 25 years old. It was the seeds for figuring out how to make change easy, how to overcome blocks and limitations, and the things that hold people back, and to make change fun, easy, desirable, and to get the kind of results that you want to be able to get. And we've been talking about a lot of the stuff that holds people back, and Mind Design addresses those things. And it's my program, and it's a marvelous, fun program. I used to teach all of my programs through it. So if I taught NLP or DHE or Law of Attraction or Accelerated Learning, I used Mind Design as the umbrella to which I presented all these other things, because it's truly about, you know, you want the inside of your head to be so glorious that the outside pales by comparison.
Yes, that makes
You
sense.
want your heart. Now, originally I called it life design, and at the time, and so attitude activator was part of the life design series. Then we had some trademark issues because at that time they said, "Well, you're a personal transformation, you're a self-help seminar improvement company, personal improvement." And there was another company. It wasn't in personal and professional. It was like in health or something, and they called it life design. And they said, "You're too close. You can't use the same thing because of confusion." So I changed it to Mind Design. And now everybody uses life design. People have taken book titles on it. Another student of mine, a former student of mine, created a program called Life, and I have Mind Design. But it is mind and life and heart design is what it truly is. It's about how you transform yourself into the kind of person for whom things are easy, how you can attract and manifest what you want, and how you live your life in gratitude, on a day-to-day basis, how you do condition yourself. And what I've done recently is I've put it online. It used to be just live events and seminars, workshops around the world, where I had a 100-acre retreat center that people used to fly in from all around the world and do programs with me. Now I actually offer it online, and
That's awesome.
it's been recent. Yeah, it's exciting because the technology's evolved now, like what we're doing here with podcasts, or what we can do with interactive, like Skype or Zoom or webinars, things we can now interact with people. Where years ago it was either you. It took me forever to put out home study programs because I always wanted people in the program. I wanted that one-on-one connection with people. I didn't want to do 10,000 people in a stadium. I've done those, but I mean, what I want is to have that connection with people where because I believe in transmission. I believe that that you imbibe in an atmosphere, and it's kind of like you go to one city and you notice the personality of the city, and you feel the energy. And a different city is a different energy. Some are sleepy and some are chaotic, and some are God, I don't want to and some are glorious. And
Yeah.
so my thing was to create an environment for people that was glorious and wonderful and welcoming and loving, that they could be challenged and stretched in a comfortable yet safe way, but go beyond what were limitations for them in the past and into new ways of being. And then it is a conditioning process. It's learning how to condition yourself in a way that makes you want to keep conditioning yourself.
That's great. I
Because
think
if
the
you have,
world so needs that, I
there,
mean,
thank you. I mean, and the Attitude Activator, which is one of my products. I'll tell you a secret about the Attitude Activator. Um, I wanted to put out a hypnosis tape, but I didn't want to put out 20 of them. I didn't want to put out 100 of them. And people were putting out tapes for everything else. I was a little lazy. I said I want to put out one that one person could use for everything.
mhm.
So I took a year to write it, and I wrote it and worked on it and articulated and finally came out with a program. The best-selling program we had was designed for people to use, and they use it to go to bed, and they use it to wake up. They use it for, unwinding and getting energy. They use it to gain weight or lose weight. They use it to quit smoking or start a positive habit. Because what it is, it's a template, not the content. Now, as a business person, that was not the smartest thing to do, because if you could have 100 tapes that are selling versus one tape. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to have one audio program that people could get, and that they could use to transform their life however they chose to use it.
That's great. And that's
And
called the Attitude Accelerator.
no, the Attitude Activator.
Activator. Yes.
And the Attitude Activator. And that is part of mind design. I mean, in other words, it's part of piece of the the mind design program, the methodology I use, and the way that I talk to both hemispheres, each part of both people inside of one person, and it's marvelous. But it represents what mind design, the Attitude Activator, what my work represents is just how do you live your life and feel fabulous and overcome. If life throws you something, how do you overcome it and go through it?
If you find value in this personal growth related material, I strongly recommend that you sign up for your $1 trial to my Personal Growth Club. Just head on over to personalgrowthclub.com and get a whole month of premium Personal Growth Club video training materials, meditations. You also get 6 free hypnosis sessions that are valued at over $174, all for this trial of just $1. Even if you cancel, you can keep the 6 hypnosis sessions. That's my gift to you, and that's how confident I am that you are going to love Personal Growth Club. Go to personalgrowthclub.com and start your $1 1-month trial today.
And for most people, what they don't realize is when you're feeling yucky is an incredible opportunity. It's an incredible opportunity to be done with stuff that you would continue to perpetuate if you don't drop it, if you don't release it, if you don't let go of it. So there's 2 ways to think of negative feeling. The negative feeling comes up, it's an alert signal that you're not thinking correctly. You're not thinking about the positive. You're not thinking about what you want. You're focused on things that are less than glorious. They're focused on things that are making you feel bad. That's why the feelings are there. So it's an alert signal, like the alerts on your car, the dashboard go off, to inform you that there's an area that needs addressing.
So it's an opportunity, really. It's not just it's not just randomly there. It's there for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. People pay people lots and lots and lots of money. People pay me a lot of money. People pay coaches lots of money to tell them what's wrong with them. Zen was the notion of a Zen stick. You can't do that in this country now. But in the old practice of Zen, the Zen master come along and crack the person on the head, with a stick, when they were falling asleep, when they were doing Zen, or in the practice of trying to be mindful, if they were dozing or not doing it, they get whacked with a Zen stick. It's, and who wants that? But yet that's what but people would seek that out because they know the value of it. So what's happening with the negative feelings is they are opportunities. Nobody wants it. We want to run away from them because that's our conditioning. Those are our habits, that all our mind and our predispositions are to avoid pain. So when the yucky feelings come up, we have a choice, either to look at them and realize, one, that they're an alert system, that something needs addressing, and that whatever that is, whatever area of that, it's by what's going on in your head, whatever thoughts you're thinking. So that's that. But 2, it's also saying, here's some anger, here's some hostility, here's some resentment, here's some envy, here's some jealousy, here's whatever that you have an opportunity to release and let go of, so that it doesn't have to keep coming up again, because it's going to keep coming up and again until you resolve it. If you never resolve it, by the time the life transformation happens and you go somewhere else, you will have repeated the same thing over and over and over again, endlessly, when you could have just released it and let it go. And that, though, is a lifelong process. That's, some people, are enlightened. They kind of let it go all in a heap, and other people, through their life, they transform, and that's totally cool. If your life is getting incrementally better, 1% every day, at the end of a year, that's 355% improvement. But most people won't spend 1% of their day improving themselves. They will watch television 6-7 hours a day. They will complain at lunch about all the crap that's going on. They'll get in the car and they'll be angry at the freeway. They'll, go home and kick the dog and beat their spouse, or yell at their kid, or feel, oh my God, life is horrible. I can't stand it. The banks are foreclosing and government is stupid. And, and that's how they spend their time.
Right.
So
and they're looking for 180, degree turnaround, in, 24
overnight.
hours.
Right. Yeah, I'll try your stuff, okay? And if it doesn't work in 30 days, then forget it. Well, it's not gonna. If you wanted the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Christy Brinkley, I'm gosh, outdated models. Um, but if you wanted, if you wanted to be the specimen of health, you have to condition yourself. You have to sleep right, eat right, exercise the right amount. You do it constantly until you got the body that you want, and then it's maintenance. You know, muscles that aren't used atrophy. But what people want is they think because there's a magic pill, there's instant on TV. Do you know that your brain, here's the thing that always amazes me. The brain is so cool. You get it instant on computer. It's faster than anything you've ever experienced in your life. You use it for a little while and pretty soon you're going, my computer's so slow. Because your brain, is so fast.
That's true.
You go, okay, I'm done. But people want it that way. They want fast results. They want to have transformation tomorrow because they're tired of being who they are or what they've done, But the good news is that you can get it. You can have it, and you can get it a little bit at a time. But it does take. The idea is if you dabble, if you put your toe in the pool, it's not the same as jumping in and swimming. It's dabbling in the pool. If you dabble, well, you're not going to get that experience of being immersed and of having an incredible time in the water. Some people stand back and look and never actually partake. Those people can learn, they'll say, well, that's just not me. No, not up until now, it wasn't you. But if you give yourself permission, it can be you tomorrow. So what do you need to learn? What do you need to do?
You got to get out of the stands and get on the court and play and do it.
And if you approach everything, see, the thing is, we learned more as kids. This is the whole thing about a whole brain learning disorder. We learned more as children out on the playground, with our imagination playing with sticks and rocks and dolls and all that, than we did in school, for the most part. We learned information in school. It didn't transform us, but all the important things we learned out on the playground. We learned around. Consider this for a second. This is the one that amazes me. If you were a baby and you could speak from birth on, you probably wouldn't have lived very long. Everything we've done because we go, hey, do that for me. Would you get me that piece of toast? I'm hungry. Would you do this? You'd be ordering commands. Everybody'd be doing your bidding because you're a baby going, hey, give me this. But what you had to do, think about it. You were this little life form that had to learn how to roll over, and you kept doing it until you did it. And then you had to learn to sit up. And while you were sitting up, you were using all sorts of muscles. You were wobbling and bobbling and falling over during all of this process. Moshe Feldenkrais said this is called parasitic movements. You're using more muscles than are necessary in order to do something. Think about when you learn to feed yourself, and you have a spoon, and you're trying to get it to your mouth. That spoon is going the food is going on the ceiling, on mom and dad, on the floor, in your face. It's going everywhere. As you learn to control your arm to get the spoon to your mouth. But you have to make those wide-ranging movements in order to know how to make the narrow movements. In other words, at the extreme.
That is so true.
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're honing it in. You're honing and honing and honing, and you're bringing it closer until you're able to feed yourself. Then there's walking, there's crawling, and then there's walking. If you had to read a book or listen to a tape program or if you'd been speaking, you'd never walk because you just kept doing it until you got it. And you couldn't complain about it. You just kept doing it. You just kept trying. It was in your DNA to go, I'm mobile here. So you went from being a thing that lied on its back most of the time to something that could roll over, sit up, and crawl and walk and feed itself. And from there, you learned reading and writing and all these other things that you didn't even know what you were doing when you're learning reading and writing. You'd use a baseball bat. And the scariest thing is they're taking that away from kids. They're giving them, iPads and everything else so that they just use their thumbs now. But you learn to write by rote, by repetition, by making these things. And you had to try and stay within the lines. Again, you had extremes and you were learning to stay within the line, to learn refined muscle movements, which is the same thing you did when you refined your muscle movements. So it's getting rid of unwanted, unnecessary parasitic movements. And for most people, that means you want to focus on what you want and you want to aim at what you want. And you're going to go all over the place, just like with juggling. You're going to drop balls. They're going to go on the ceiling and in the floor and everywhere else until you learn how to refine it. And you just have to keep doing it correctly repeatedly for long enough in order to make it a habit. But once you make it a habit, you develop unconscious mastery. Then it's part of you. It's part of your DNA, and you can do it without thinking about it. In the same way, driving was a task when you first started, but now you drive without thinking about it. At one time it was difficult to coordinate everything. Now you get in the car, you drive, you're angry, you're thinking, people are texting, they're doing all sorts of stuff, but paying attention to the road in many cases, and yet they're driving because they've mastered it unconsciously. You've mastered walking unconsciously for the most part. You've mastered eating. I mean, people find themselves in the refrigerator in the middle of the night. So everything that it was a habit is based on habits. Our brain learns and creates habits, new neural pathways. And the greatest news, by the way, I want to say something. All this talk about neuroscience discoveries, neuroscience isn't discovering anything that we didn't know 6,000 years ago. What they're doing is they're validating what has been known for centuries, that people thought was weird, that was mysticism, it was spiritual, it was church, it was this, it was that, it was religion. But now what neuroscience is doing is, for the most part, is coming along and going, you know what? The brain is plastic. There's neuroplasticity. You can grow new neural pathways. You can learn to do new things. The structure of the brain changes. You can evolve your brain. You don't have, if you have a brain that's damaged, you can actually begin to improve it. And a lot of it has to do with what you believe. You know the story of Mr. Right, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm not saying, yeah.
Yes.
And the placebo, where we had a debilitating illness. It was going to kill him. The doctor came along and said, there's just new stuff out there, and it was in the papers, and we'll get it for you. And they couldn't get it, so they gave him like water injections and thought he was getting this new miracle drug. And suddenly, he went into remission. He was fine. And then the newspaper came out and said it was bogus. It didn't do anything, and he got sick again. And then his doctor said, no, that was a mistake. That was mistake. And an article came out and said they were wrong again, that it did have some validity, and so he was fine. Then an article came out and said, no, it's no good. It's no good. And he ultimately died. He lived or he died depending on what he was believing. I mean, that's one of the most powerful stories of placebo work. But the interesting thing about placebo is that they work oftentimes more effectively than the drugs that are given. I mean, every drug is
so
studied against a placebo.
It's so true.
Well,
Hey,
because the
listen.
drugs have side effects.
Would you believe it feels like we've been having this conversation for 10 minutes, and this is another
it does.
Power of the mind, but we've actually been talking for an hour.
Oh my Lord, really?
So we're gonna start to kind of wind down and wrap up.
We'll wind it down.
Yes. And so I understand that
maybe we have to do this again sometime.
We absolutely need to do this again. And I do believe that we are doing this again on my Facebook Live on the 20th.
That's true.
Let's see. That is, but I would love to have you as a guest again, because I still had so many other questions to ask you, but this conversation it really kind of took off and took on a life of its own, and
really,
that's the beauty, I believe, of having, having two minds that kind of think along the same lines. We can like feed off of each other, but you are a world of information, and I love your ideas. I love your concept of, explaining affirmations and explaining how, with the Think and Grow Rich, explaining law of attraction, explaining NLP, and, and your mind design and your attitude. I keep wanting to say adjuster or accelerator.
Those are good. They're all good. It's the attitude activator, but they're all good. That's
awesome. Sounds great. But, I would love to continue our conversation again. And at this point, I just want to give you, some time to kind of wrap up and let our audience know how they can get in touch with you. I think you had mentioned you might be offering a little free gift for our audience, and let's let people know how they can continue this conversation with you.
Oh, that's so kind of you. I really appreciate that. And yeah, we didn't even get to directed questions or many of these things.
I
So,
know, but it really, to honestly, I really felt like, even though it wasn't exactly how we had initially talked about having this conversation, I really think it was very interesting for our audience. I think the things that we talked about was very, very informative and interesting, and people are going to learn a lot from this.
well, I appreciate that. And what I want to reinforce for your listeners is a lot of people don't think they can change, or they feel stuck, or they've tried and they haven't succeeded in the way that they want to. The good news is you absolutely can. You can change and transform. You can learn to do almost anything you want to do within reason, but you can learn to do almost anything you want to do. The sky is the limit. In other words, uh, don't accept no if it's something worthwhile, it's something practical, and it's something that's going to be better for you and your family and your friends and or the world. If it's positive and good and powerful, and you want to pursue it, then you ought to pursue it. Now, how do you get in touch with me? I have a website called dailyinspirationandgratitude.com. It's a blog site. It's dailyinspirationandgratitude.com. It's spelled just like it sounds. If you can't find it that way, you just search Rex Sikes on Google and it'll come up as one of many sites. But dailyinspirationandgratitude.com. I have a free gift for you, and it's a free audio MP3, and it's called What's Stopping You. And if you go to dailyinspirationandgratitude.com and you go to the pull down menus, it'll say Mind Design. So if you want information on Mind Design, you can go to the pull down and they'll tell you how you can get information about enrolling in the Mind Design program. It'll say transformational products, and there's the Attitude Activator and one or two other products that you can get. So if you choose to, and then there's free gift. And if you go to the free gift and pull it down, you just click on the link and I'll tell you how you get your free gift. So dailyinspirationandgratitude.com. And it is a daily blog. While you're there, you can follow the blog every day. And I'm probably going to turn it into an audio blog at some point. But for over 4 years, that's a daily blog that I do every single day. And I've done it sick or well, traveling or not. And it's there to help edify, support, encourage people to make positive changes in life. And you can do that. And if any of the information that we've discussed today has touched you or is meaningful, I encourage you to look into it further and to learn how to apply some of what it is we've been discussing. Because information, information could sit in a book and do nothing, or you can use it to transform your life. Yes. Information that we've shared on the podcast, can be, well, that's entertaining, or it can be cataclysmically transformative, and change everything about you when you apply it, repeatedly, correctly, consistently for long enough. You'll transform your life, and it'll amaze you. And the last thing I will say is, don't worry about how long it takes. Have fun doing it. It's like playing a game. You don't want to go, how long are we going to play this fun game for? You got an hour, that's too short. You got 2 hours, whatever. Don't worry about, don't get caught up. Just do the process, and you'll surprise and delight yourself at how rapidly you can begin to change. So,
that's great. That's great. And you know what it is? It's absolutely true that consistency and application, I mean, that's the key to, to changing your life, and just, having that desire and having that belief that you can do it. So,
absolutely. It's like people who say, oh, I ate once. I tried it. I didn't like it. It didn't work for me. Never going to eat again.
Right. Try something else.
Right. I'm not going to do it. But
well, thank you so much, Rex. You have been a world of information, and this was, really, really informative, really inspirational. And I encourage our listeners to, go ahead and, go to his website, get that free gift, and follow the blog. And know that you can change whatever you've been struggling with. The information's there; it's inside of you. You have these ideas in your mind about what it is that you say that you want for a reason, and go for it. So thank you very much, Rex, for being a guest on my show. I really look forward to continuing our conversation, we're going to be on Law of Attraction Live on Facebook. So be sure to follow us on Facebook so you'll get a notification about when we go live. And that's going to happen next week.
And what are we talking about next week? Do you remember?
Next
Law
week?
Of attraction?
Yeah, we are talking about Law of Attraction next week, which is, really, really, I love affirmations, but Law of Attraction is really my favorite topic, which is why I have a show called Law of Attraction Live.
That makes perfect sense.
And so, what a wonderful powerhouse to have on that show. I think, I'm really looking forward to what else you have to share, because you just, after 40 years of doing what you've been doing, you clearly know your stuff. You sound like you walk the talk, and you have a vast array of of information that people can apply and make changes into their life. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I get younger and prettier every day.
Yay. That's great.
So awesome. You have been just marvelous, and I've appreciated this, and I want to support you too. So, you let me know how I can get this out to everybody I know, and I'll do the same. And I encourage your people to always share your podcasts, including this one. But the listeners out there can help other people transform by sharing. So it's awesome you're doing this, and I'm so grateful to have been with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm very grateful for all the information that you shared as well. So thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends. And once again, be sure to subscribe to the Power of Your Mind podcast if not already. We can be found as Hip Talk on all our social media accounts. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and sign up for your free self-hypnosis video training course at hiptalk.com. Our next podcast is going to be on quantum success in your career with my special guest, Christy Whitman, who is a transformational leader, celebrity coach, and the New York Times bestselling author of The Art of Having It All, A Woman's Guide to Unlimited Abundance. I can't wait to share her wonderful information with you. Be sure to subscribe so you are the first to listen to that episode. You've been listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast with Victoria Gallagher, brought to you by HipTalk.com, Hypnosis Stream, and Personal Growth Club.